Oh, yes, it is. Anthony Rivera, the Subway to Shea podcast. Keith Diaz, the Shea and Sons. It's a Subway to Shea and Sons collaboration. WBC TV, episode 7. It is the semifinals preview. We'll do a little bit of quarterfinals recap. Keith, this is what they call in college basketball and March Madness the Final Four. We've made it, man.
I know it's actually kind of like bittersweet because
Yeah.
I just feel like we're just getting to some of the like real nitty gritty of the tournament. But like, come Tuesday, we'll have a champion. And then obviously we'll be off to about 6 months of baseball, which is great. But the intensity and the passion and the fire of what we've seen over the past few days, to me, that's baseball at its best.
I like that it's every 3 years. I don't think it would work if they did it every year, but the fact that it's every 3 years just builds on the hype, builds on the fun, builds on the expectations. We saw our guy out there for Master Flip out there for Dominican Republic, hanging out with Team Korea, the fans. Venezuela last night with Japan. Like, that's what I love about baseball. I wish more of that was in Major League Baseball.
Absolutely.
And we know I know fans just aren't like that, but just the fun that's been brought out throughout this tournament over the last 2 weeks just has been everything. It's just a nice break from, everyday Major League Baseball stuff and sitting through a 162 game season. Absolutely. And it's been so exciting. We've got the Final Four, a very fun Final Four. As a matter of fact, shout out to Armand, is amazing in the chat. Jeff Cohen, appreciate you for being a part of this as well. And we will get to all of this, the power of espresso, Japan, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. We will get to as we recap the quarterfinals. And why don't we start off with last night's thriller of Japan versus Venezuela. And
what a game, man.
Venezuela, not only does Venezuela knock out the defending champions, they have now punched their ticket to the semifinals and punched their ticket to the Olympics.
Yeah. And it goes to show, like, so many people were like, hey, don't sleep on Venezuela. Don't sleep on Venezuela. And it's like, Venezuela could win this thing. Like, Venezuela is absolutely in prime position to meet anyone in the final and surprise the world. This was Japan's first time in history in the WBC to never pass the quarterfinals. I think a lot of us saw a little bit of a chink in the armor with the Japanese. Still a formidable team, but there's something that's going on right now in this WBC where you see with the Dominican, where you see, especially with the Venezuelans, it just seems like it means the most to them. And it means so much that you have just every pitch, every inning, every swing go to the vortex of just euphoria. When Weiler Abreu hit the home run last night to go ahead, I felt the soul of the Japanese team go with that baseball. And genuinely speaking, these tournaments tend to kind of have a lot of seesawing events. A lot of teams don't really kind of just lay down unless you are significantly better talent-wise. But, the Japanese posed the threat later in the game, and it just felt like they do not have enough oomph if, like, Ohtani's not, like, saving them. It just really felt like, we saw Seiya Suzuki, unfortunately, suffer an injury on a slide. Hopefully he's okay, especially being that he is an upcoming free agent. But it just felt like it was there's formidable players on that Japanese team, but it just felt like Ohtani was not impacting the game in any way, even though they did get production from other players. But it just felt like with the Venezuelan team, it just felt like from 1 through 9, you're getting at bats. The best part of that game last night was Ezequiel Tovar messing with the pitcher at second base. He forced the pitcher to threw it in the outfield. And Ezequiel Tovar, even if it was a good throw, he was still running through the bag at third base. It just so happens the ball went into the outfield, and he comes home to score just by applying pressure to the pitcher. And to me, for any baseball fan that truly loves the small details, the intricacies of what it is to play an important game and every single moment matter, what Ezekiel Tovar did yesterday to score from second without anything happening at the plate told me how locked in that Venezuelan team was and how much they wanted it and how much this meant to them. And I'm so happy for them. They deserve it. Now they go off into one of the more funner events where in the semifinals we have them in another Cinderella. Well, I wouldn't say another Cinderella anymore because they look like a dragon slayer right now in Team Italy.
Yeah, we'll get into Team Italy shortly. That whole thing with Tovar that you mentioned, that's like you said, that's stuff we like to see in baseball. Just a little strategy-wise things that you don't see enough because now baseball it's you hit the home run or not, right? Like there's no real small ball being a part of it. And not only did they play small ball, but it threw Japan off of their game. And after the Macau Franco home run to tie it, you talk about Wheeler Abreu giving them the 3-run blast to take the lead, and that stadium went absolutely nuts, and they finish off Japan 8-5. I mean, how crazy is it that you start off the game with 2 MVPs leading off, hitting home runs, just going tit for tat on that when it comes to Ronald Acuna Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. I mean, like you couldn't have asked for a better start to a game, and it was as advertised.
It just felt like primetime game, primetime players, primetime moment. It just felt like guys were. It felt like that this was going to be do or die to the umpteenth event. Like the fans too. Like the presentation in Miami was sensational. There were so many Japanese fans there, along with the Venezuelan support. Going back to what you said, we like to see so many fans integrate with one another, comparing it to like what we see on the average in Major League Baseball. And, I'm not trying to make it political. I'm not, but just to see so many different cultures intertwining with one another to watch 9 innings of baseball. I'm sorry, personally, that to me is what this sport should be all about all the time at every single moment. Yes. We are prideful because, America hosts Major League Baseball. It is the prime league and totally understand that. But we don't get enough of this. And it just feels so much like joy in my heart to see so much like just happiness. Like the Japanese were losing and the fans were still dancing and having a good time. And they were enjoying the Venezuelan part. And the best part to me, Anthony, about all this is that after a lot of these teams, not just the Japanese and the Venezuelan, we even go back to what happened to, Puerto Rico and other teams in pool play. When the losing team loses, they come out of the dugout and they applaud the fans. You don't see that. You don't see that in Major League Baseball. That is like I don't think we'll ever see it. Not even in the World Series you see it. You don't see it. And I know there's competition at play, but like just to honor the presentation, to honor the inclusion of everyone tells me how much this tournament is such a blessing for this sport.
That's something that, and I'm sure you can agree with this because you love soccer. That's something that the World Cup does around the world. Right. And the fact that really the United States isn't really into soccer as the rest of the world is, right? We have MLS, we have Team USA, but it's different once you go to Europe and, all the other countries that are involved in the World Cup. MLB has an opportunity and the United States has an opportunity to build this not only for the US, but for the entire world and make baseball that world sport to bring it to the same heights as soccer. And every year, this tournament continues to grow and grow and grow. And we've seen not only the best here, but the best in pool play, even games that are well out of hand, right? And we'll get to one of them that took place this past weekend. Those games, there's always something exciting going on. The fans are always making it exciting. You're not sitting through a 10-0, 12-0 slog of a game, and it's just like, what do I do? Do I walk around in the stadium? No, man, that's not happening here. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's conversing with each other. People you may not know are becoming friends. And that's something that MLB really needs to lock in on and start building off of when it comes to making this sport worldwide. And you got the, a guy in Shohei Ohtani who helps build that with his connections to the Far East. And I think you can really help that with the Caribbean. Now you have teams in Europe, you have Australia, you have Chechnya. I mean, that pitcher, Andres Satoria, who pitched that 4 to 5 in, the electrician. I mean, he came out in Japan and got a standing ovation as an opposing player against Japan. So there's, and for you and me, this is the first time we're doing this, and I hope we get to do it again in a couple of years. But
Amen.
How many players have we just learned about from different countries? And there was one tweet that I thought was interesting that I would like to see done. And he said that, maybe they should have a patch of the major league team that they're on, or whatever, team from Japan or MPB. Maybe that's something that they add a little touch to, is they put the patch of whatever team they're on, because we don't really see like what team unless you're like really into baseball like we are. Some of these guys, you just don't know what teams they play for. So that would be cool, little touch for them to do. I can't remember the guy's name, but shout out to whoever put that tweet. Also, shout out to Yuri Kurosawa when we had him on to talk about Pool C. He did say that this was Japan's weakest team. So, and he was spot on about that. The pitching wasn't as up to
He's been so spot on about everything.
He has. Yamamoto was their best pitcher, and he proved that, but the rest of the staff just struggled. And when you get offenses like Venezuela, the United States you want to throw in there, now Italy, as well as the Dominican Republic, which is the powerhouse of offense, that's not going to go well for a team like Japan.
Yeah, I love the idea of the patch. I think it does send a really good message to represent like where domestically you do play and what you represent. I love that idea. I think even like for the foreigners, they would love to know, like, I'm pretty sure they want to know exactly where, like, some like Ezekiel Tovar, right? They probably like, oh my God, like what a great play. Want to know where he's playing. He plays in a small market, okay, maybe they follow him, maybe the Rockies would get a little bit of a following just because they fall in love with a player because the foreigner saw what they did in the WBC. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's an opportunity here, and I saw in the chat, shout out to Blade Solar. I'm a big football fan, and I mean football, like worldwide football. Yes, we do suck in the sport, Americans, because we're not good at it. We purposely do not approve of the sport generally as a population, because we're not good at the sport. America loves everything big, right? Look at the NFL, big human beings, the NBA playing above the rim, big guys or whatever. Look at Wemby, stuff like that. Look at Aaron Judge. Oh my God, look at Ohtani. You look at soccer players, they're this big, but they're incredible. They're phenomenal athletes, but we do not generate those athletes in this country. That's why we're not good at that sport. And plus, we don't have the institution at like age 2 or 3 or 4 to send these beautiful athletes into a soccer path, a football path, where they can just solely focus on that. Usually around the time one of our, youthful prodigies hits like their teenage years, they're picking between multiple sports. And, there's obviously money factors that go into it, etc. But we're not into that. But like, what you said is so important. Baseball has an opportunity to do what the World Cup and soccer does on a global stage, because we'll talk about Team USA in a moment. Our team could be doing a lot better because we are very good. Yeah. But I think the way we're approaching things is questionable. We'll dive into that. But what we could do is use what's happening right now in this sport, right? And integrate it so much more. And like, not many people are going to sit here in this stream and tell you, man, I love to watch any baseball game. I want to watch the Pirates versus the Nationals, right? You won't hear that a lot. But if you hear, because this person, Paul Skeens, right, is playing against the Nationals, who had no representation in the WBC, but maybe, you could start showing the world how diverse the national players are, or who could be in the future United States team, like a James Wood or CJ Abrams or whatever. And you start kind of hyping up that, in 3 years, this player could represent the country. This player is on the path. This player, it could be a future all-star, yada, 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 whatever. You can start hyping up the tournament 3 years out. You can start putting like little seeds into fans' minds, and just like letting everybody know, oh wow, this player was a silver slugger. He was really good in the postseason. Can he bring that to team whatever? Vinny Pasquantino now is going to be forever remembered as the Don. Like, that's it. Like, Vinny Pasquantino is the Don of baseball. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If anything, he has probably been the most likable dude, truthfully. What he's done in the tournament and how he's presented the team and how he's carried as a leader. How many people are in Italy going to love Vinny Pasquantino now? Now, what happens? The Royals might have an influx of Italian fans. Here we go. Yeah. And if I was a part of the Kansas City Royals PR team, I'd have Italian night. I'd have something. I'd start promoting things like that. I'd have a crossover of the Royals and the WBC Italian jersey giveaway night. Boom.
The Mets could do that. They do all the countries.
Yep, absolutely. And I just think it's right in front of them. It's right in front of them, and hopefully they see it.
A shout out to Team Italy too for what has been a great. There's going to be a lot of shout outs because you definitely deserve the biggest one. You had Italy as your sleeper, and they were. I can't believe they were even considered underdogs against Puerto Rico. Probably because we've seen Puerto Rico throughout the entire pool play. They weren't the same team, obviously roster wise, and just the way they've seen them play. I thought that the underdog was Puerto Rico going into that game for sure. But Team Italy makes it all the way to the semifinals. They took care of Puerto Rico 8-6. Sam Aldahiri, I think he's Italian born. Yeah, he's from Verona, Italy. And, you mentioned the talk about Vinny Pasquantino. Also, like, you think about Team Italy making it this far. I don't know if you've heard some of the broadcast calls from the Italian broadcast call. This could be the start for them as a way to start bringing their own players in from Italy. Because this is, Italy makes it this far, and instead of focusing on this being their first time getting this deep into the WBC, championship rounds, the talk is, well, these guys are all American born, but that's not the point. The point is they have the Italian heritage. That's the rules. That's a part of being a part of this team. And, they've just played so well. They haven't lost a match since the start of this. They're the only undefeated team now, along with the Dominican Republic. And they took care of Puerto Rico, I want to say kind of from the start, right? Yeah. They put up a 4 spot. Willie Castro hit that leadoff home run, gave us a little bit of hope. And then it went right into Italy scoring 4 runs in the first off of Seth Lugo, who could not find the plate. He was getting squeezed a little bit. The umpire wasn't great behind the plate, but once you get a lead like that and then you give it right back tenfold, that's kind of bad news. But I will say this: Puerto Rico has been through a tumultuous month and a half of trying to figure out how to put this team together, from Carlos Beltran all the way down to Yadier Molina and this roster. Because of the insurance issues, because of injuries, this team wasn't going to be able to be 100%. I would have assumed that we were going to see, if healthy, Jose Barrios, but we talked about it in that space the other day, that Jose Barrios has inflammation in his elbow, so he wasn't going to be able to pitch. The fact that Puerto Rico down, was it 8-2 or at the time, or 8-1 at the time, came all the way back to make this an 8-6 game. All I asked was for them, one, it would have been nice to go to the semifinals. I think we both would have been unbearable on X for a lot of people because of that. But the fact that they fought all the way back in this game, I know there's not that many small wins and a loss, but to me, this is a big one. Bringing it back all the way to 8-6 to the point where the tying run comes to the plate in the 9th, and they just missed a home run by Eddie Rosario to end the game. And it sucks to see them eliminated here at this point. Hopefully next time they come back stronger. They need to start developing more players in Puerto Rico for that team, because a lot of the stars are getting a lot older. So they got to pep up their step. But, what are your takeaways? We'll go with Puerto Rico first, and then we'll go your Italy team.
Yeah, it just felt like from the start, we were going to fight an uphill battle with even just putting on a team, I'm kind of glad this happened, truthfully, so that it highlights the deficiencies of our team. We do need to develop a lot more talent. And that kind of goes into why we struggle with developing talent, because a lot of our players are not, took in the international pool. They're drafted, right, with regular prospects. So it's a long, deep dive of just like, where can we start, right? And we couldn't really bring on our stars to just maybe influence younger fans to see, oh my God, I just saw Javi Baez, I saw Francisco Lindor, Correa, yada, yada, yada. The next WBC, that's not going to be a conversation. The next WBC, the next conversation is going to be like, ooh, I want to watch Elmer Rodriguez. Like that's kind of the path for Elmer, right? He's going to be
probably
Eduardo Rivera, sensational tournament for him. And we are a bedrock for catchers. We haven't developed a really good catcher in a while, so I'm good. I'm very happy that, they performed the way they did. I think they represented the island exactly how the island needs to be represented, with fire, with passion, and never they say die attitude, and the resiliency of Yadier Molina reverberates throughout that entire island and that entire federation. So I'm very, very proud of what he does. I'm very, very excited for him in his coaching career. I'm very hopeful he can land a job in Major League Baseball, along with a few other managers like Cervelli and Albert Pujols. I think all three of them have done a spectacular job. But going back to Puerto Rico real quick, and then we'll get into the Italian side of things. I hope for the best. The next 3 years is truly a dedication to development, and I think a lot of those gentlemen should be very proud of themselves. But if we're gonna call a spade, they're just not good enough. They're just not good enough, and the stars are not gonna be there in the next tournament. So it's gonna be a huge reset, and we have to see how good the federation commits to presenting young talent. Now, to my sleeper, I didn't see this coming. I predicted them as my sleeper, but I did not see almost a finals appearance. And it's like, I don't know if they beat Venezuela. I think Venezuela has a little bit of an edge on them. But every time I think the Italians could face a bump in the road, which I thought against the United States, maybe Puerto Rico, yada, yada, yada. The Italians have played such incredible defense. And that's something I was worried about. I was like, the only thing that's stopping this team is that sometimes they're sloppy. The last WBC in 2023, they made a ton of errors. They were all over the place. They haven't made an error yet. They've been awesome. They've truly dedicated to like defense and just timely hitting. And another thing too is like watching watching the two teams yesterday, Puerto Rico and Italy. To me, the biggest difference, and this is me being a baseball nerd, and I love being a baseball nerd, and we all do, is that the Puerto Rican team could not lift the ball, but the Italian teams were lifting the ball and creating damage, and they just felt like the more powerful team, the more quick to like fastballs and stuff like that, and they were running the bases really hard. I love what I see from Vinny Pasquantino. I think they go off him, his vibes and everything. There's a lot of young talent in the Italian Federation, man. There is a lot of young talent. That young second baseman, he talks a lot of smack, but I like it. I think he brings a lot of fire. And Nucci, I think his name is. I love what he's bringing to the tournament. And, there's just – and this is all without Kyle Teal, who got hurt in the tournament too. He's going to be a mainstay for this, bedrock of talent. So Kyle Teal is going to be one of their future stars. He's an awesome catcher. He got hurt, but he'll be back in 3 years. So I just want to I couldn't be more happy for them. I think,
deserved.
I saluted, the Italians. I have a ton of Italian friends. I've been to Italy. I love Italy. I there's a lot of positive things I could say about the Italian culture. So I'm just happy for them. And I really, really do hope that, because right now they're kind of in a little bit of a rut with the football side of things, which is rare, very rare, that baseball becomes a bit of a thing for them. And I'm really excited for them.
Yeah, I think Jack Caglione? He's also Puerto Rican. And
yeah, he has split parents. Like one is Puerto Rican, I don't remember who, and one is Italian.
So, and this is probably where, we talked about Puerto Rico having to start developing players, right? It feels like they were behind as well on bringing major league talent in
Correct.
here, because Jack Caglione said that Puerto Rico was his first choice,
Correct.
but he was not reached to in time.
Correct.
And Italy came to him first, so he went with Italy. So Puerto Rico needs to really do some work in their front office as well. That's a testament to Carlos Beltran needing to be on top of things as general manager.
And I apologize for cutting you off, but there's 3 situations I think that we really, really kind of fell victim to our own accord. One of them is going to be hilarious. We're going to laugh about it because we're Met fans. But 1, the Caglione situation. 2, Riley Green. Riley Green is part Puerto Rican. We could have pushed harder for that. I just saw there in the Cags. And then number 3, do not like this player, but he would have had adequate playing time, or he could have presented a better foundation of baseball for him. Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos, before this whole insurance thing, probably said he could have gone to 3 teams. He could have been to the Dominican, he could have been to the Nicaraguan, he could have been to the Puerto Rican. And before this whole insurance nonsense, he knew he was not making the Dominican team. They were too powerful. They were too loaded. He's way more down the pecking order. The Nicaraguan team, he was going to be looked at as their Barry Bonds, because they, truthfully, with all due respect, they're not good. And 3, Puerto Rico, he probably felt, oh, Correa, Lindor, Baez, where am I going to play? And they probably are going to have a DH. So where am I going to play? But as it unfolded, he would have been in the lineup probably more than he would have assumed. And he would have gotten to play. And he did get to play with Nicaragua, but it would have been a better baseball education for him to play with the Puerto Ricans. And I probably would have been able to looked at it a little bit differently for him in his spring training development, which has not gone good, by the way. Sorry, we're not trying to do the Met stuff right now. But anyways, I just think that if you look at those 3 guys, we lost Lindor, we lost Correa, we lost Baez, but you get me a Caglione, you get me a Riley Green, you get me a Mark Vientos. Now the lineup is a lot different.
Yeah, no,
the lineup is a lot different.
It definitely is different, and I know both of us have been on X and complained about insurance and all that stuff. But as the days go on, and hearing all these stories, it does feel a little bit, and I don't want to rag on Puerto Rico here, it does feel a little bit like they were behind the 8 ball in setting up this group here. First off, the development of these players. I mean, if Dominican Republic loses 2 or 3 stars like Puerto Rico did, they're still set off good, right? They still have a lineup to throw out there. Whereas Puerto Rico, you saw them decimated, where now we're looking towards Nolan Arenado and Helio Ramos as our stars to provide, some pop and stuff like that. You don't know how many situations yesterday I was like, Darnell Hernandez comes up with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And I'm like, man, Francisco Lindor would have been perfect for this situation, or Correa or Baez. And it just didn't work out that way. So, I'm not going to totally 100% put this on insurance. Puerto Rico needs to do a better job, and they need to pay better attention going into the next one.
And last point, I love what you just said. Absolutely, I agree. Those spots fell to one of our better players, but because it fell to those guys, it highlighted a lot. It highlighted how much we are in need of an influx, and because a lot of our young, talented baseball players are now drafted in the MLB draft. And they're not international, players. They're not in the IFA draft and everything. To me, the Puerto Rican Federation has to now kind of move off the homegrown or he lived in Puerto Rico this long. We have to go to him first and now go to the United States. Yes, he was born in Puerto Rico. I mean, he was born in America, but he has Puerto Rican lineage. Let's talk to him. When they're doing qualifiers, when they're doing little mini tournaments in between the 3 years, start dropping those little seeds and nuggets into those Puerto Rican players' heads, so that when the time comes around for selection, now we might have a young up-and-coming team. And we had young talent even on the bench that didn't even get to play.
Yeah. So that's how many times did we talk about Edwin Arroyo?
Edwin Arroyo
him once.
He didn't even get a chance. And with all due respect, Hernandez, he earned the playing time, whatever, but at some point, you would want to start pushing the new era, off to these younger guys, but they were already strapped as it was a tough situation for them. It's going to be an interesting discussion. This is the last point I'll leave Puerto Rico on, that in 3 years, they might have a new manager because maybe Yadi's gone. Maybe Yadi's with a major league club. So I'm really curious to see how that transition is going to be. So fingers crossed. I don't know. I don't. It's gonna be hard to see what happens with Puerto Rico. Hopefully, it's a lot better. But I could see next year a huge discrepancy of really, really old players and really, really young, and then another 3 years until we see a field of just really young talent.
Well, Beltran has his academy out there in Puerto Rico, so hopefully the development, goes a little bit better. We have the pitchers coming up in Eduardo Rivera as well as Elmer Rodriguez. Nice to see them in the future. The bullpen looks pretty solid as well. When it could, like the pitching staff outside of what happened with Italy yesterday, looked pretty good. But even as Mike Lewis said, PR benefited from being in a weaker group. They were barely, right? Like they barely passed Panama.
Yeah.
They barely passed Cuba. They obviously lost to Canada, and they need to figure out a way to develop more and more and more of these players. Absolutely. I think there's an article out there that was put out yesterday after the game was over that there's over 300 Puerto Ricans in Major League Baseball. I mean, start doing your homework like today. Like get started today and trying to field this roster. And maybe the next time the WBC comes around, you and I can just start putting together a roster and seeing what's the best fit. We'll look into some of these players and figure out what is the best fit for this roster going forward. And it may be not going with some of your stars that are going to be 35, 36 years old.
This tournament, this is a very clickbaity statement I'm going to make. So I'm just putting it out there. The rise of Italy is showing me the fall of Puerto Rico. And when I say that is with Jack Caglione, why would he pick Puerto Rico in the next tournament? Why? If the Italians are starting to rise, why? I would actually, if I was his friend, I'd tell him, stay with Italy. You are an ascending player. You're just getting your career started. You could be the superstar for that country. Are you kidding me? No, stay with them. And I just feel like we do not have that right now. We don't.
Yeah. It just don't have that. So Italy and Venezuela will face off against each other in the semifinals. That's going to be a fun matchup. But let's get to the games that happened on Friday night. We'll go with Dominican Republic Korea first because, that was the mercy ruling game. I thought Korea was going to bring a little bit more pop that they did, but Christopher Sanchez had a nice bounce back in the quarterfinal matchup, 10-0. And Austin Wells, the New York Yankee, capped it off with a 3-run home run. This Dominican Republic lineup, I mean, we're talking about Austin Wells hitting bombs now, the catcher. This team is just unreal offensively.
With respect to the Koreans, I thought they were a very good participant in the tournament. They went out with grace. They did not belong on the same field as the Dominican, with all due respect. They just are not at all in the same realm. I knew it would have been a mercy. I had a feeling it was going to be a mercy. It was just a matter of, when, not if, there was chatter on Twitter where the Korean fans were saying that Dominicans only hit home runs. They don't hit extra base hits. The Dominicans hit the Dominicans were hitting nothing but doubles that game. And it felt like it was on, they knew that they were being targeted by the Korean fan base, and they went out of their way to just put the ball in the gap. And then it came down to the very last home run was the walk-off home run, the one and only, I believe. So big up to Austin Wells. I just want to put it out there that don't be afraid to accept, some of your heritage, because you may fall in love with it. And I'm very proud of Austin Wells. I'm very happy that the Dominican have opened their arms and welcomed him in. And I think, we put the Mets and Yankees bias aside. I would love to see more of that in baseball. I truly would. I think it's a beautiful thing. He looks so happy. And maybe this could help him in the Bronx. The Bronx is filled with tons of Dominicans. He's going to probably be roared in the Bronx louder than maybe Judge. Because the way Judge has got, we'll talk about Judge in a minute. Lord have mercy. But Austin Wells, to me, has been an awesome storyline. I'm so happy for him. And you know what? Kudos to that locker room, because in 2023 there was certainly a lot of rumors about a rough locker room with the Dominican, and what Albert Pujols has done, completely revamped that whole team, bringing in Vladdy, bringing in Tatis, and bringing in Austin Wells. And they could have had Yanier Diaz, whatever that situation is. It didn't happen, but Austin Wells is on Team DR for the next WBC. It's no doubt about it. It's done. He is on that team. No one can argue it. And I'm so happy for him. I think that the Dominican, there's so many people, the get off my lawn fans, right? They're mad at how they're celebrating. I love it. I love it. I am not Dominican, and I am rooting like hell for them. I think that Major League Baseball needs a culture shock. They need a wake-up call. And I think that this Dominican team continue dancing, continue throwing that bat as high in the sky. Hopefully it don't hit nobody in the head. But I think this is exactly the juice that baseball needed going into a lockout, because I think the Dominican team have shown the world that baseball is beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, to each his own with the celebrations, right? I mean,
yeah.
I love the whole celebration for the Dominican Republic. I love what Venezuela did and Puerto Rico. After every home run, they're all out of the dugout. Like after every big pitch, they're all congratulating each other. I mean, it just, I don't want to say it means more than MLB, but there's more on the line, I feel like, here, right? Because in Major League Baseball, teams can be out of it some teams are out of it by the end of May, right?
Correct.
Here, with the rules and stuff like that, and there being point differentials and all that stuff, there's more of an emphasis to score runs, because let's say you're tied in record, those runs are going to be super important. I mean, look at Chinese Taipei crying, just going 2-2 because of the fact that their run differential could have knocked out two other teams.
I have to ask you a question. Would you rather the way we have it now, where a team is up huge in Major League Baseball, right? And they want to preserve the pitching staff, and here comes a position player. Or would you rather a mercy rule?
Mercy rule.
100%.
Mercy rule.
100%.
That's why I don't love it, but I also don't hate the ghost runner.
I see what you're saying. Because, I get what you're saying. It kind of,
I understand people are trying to preserve the game of baseball, but let's be honest, it's way too freaking long. Yeah. The season is long. The games are long. I don't mind the ghost runner. Like, I'm not going to come to bat for it and be like, I love this thing, but it's there. I'm okay with it when a game ends in the 10th or 11th inning. Same thing with this mercy ruling.
Yeah. How many times do you see a team come back 10 runs after the 7th inning? I think
none.
I honestly think if you're up 10, I mean, I think there is a gray area there where you could probably argue
5th or 6th inning, man.
Yeah, right? I think you have to fully complete 7 innings. And if you're up 10, I mean, why? Like, I don't know why I would, like, almost guaranteeing to see, like, the last guy on the bench throw pitches, and some guys are getting layups on their stats. Like, I don't want to see that. I really don't. I don't think it's fair, and I don't think, I think it's funny if it's your rival, cool, haha, but I don't think it helps the sport in any way. I think if the team annihilates another team through 7 full innings, there's no need to get to the 9th.
We literally sat through a 21-3 like drubbing from the Braves of the Mets. Like, why?
There's no need. And
they won already.
You could also
stat padding.
You maybe I'm being a hypochondriac, but there's no need to have those players on the field. Shit could happen, God forbid.
Yeah.
Somebody could twist their ankle going after a ground ball or something. I don't know. I know that this is a very uncomfortable conversation. Shout out to me. But I know the baseball truists don't want to see the game change so much that is involved because of the WBC. But I genuinely think it's a beautiful thing. I truly do. I think people could get in and out of the stadium. I think what happens here is that, like, owners want to make sure concessions and stuff are filled. But I think after the 7th inning, you can't even buy beer in most parks. So, like, what's the point, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. The people who don't want to have things like this happen. I mean, Like, what else do you need to really preserve of the game? I mean, the integrity of the game is still there. Actually, more viewers are like that. That's the whole point, is to get more people to watch the game of baseball.
I
Like,
agree.
I don't know. It just and the way that USA, if the USA wants to celebrate like that and be quiet, and all power to them. If that's the way they feel like it. If they want to be serious and all that stuff, that's fine. But then don't kill the Dominican Republic for doing it their way, and Venezuela for doing it their way, and the Italians for having the espresso machine. Like, baseball's supposed to be fun, and the fact that this is from a lot of people, this is considered the exhibition. I mean, isn't it more to have fun like that than to be in an exhibition and just fool around and have a good time? These games mean nothing in the overall scheme of things, right?
I love that this exhibition has players getting hurt, has players jumping to the sky, has players like crying. This is probably the greatest exhibition ever seen, because my favorite part about all this is that we could talk about this till we're numb in the face. But if we were blessed to have one of those participants in the WBC in this stream right now, they will tell you how much this is like. Though it means the world to them. I can't. We can't stress enough that winning a World Series is incredibly difficult. I mean, it goes from so far high up of a franchise to the very bottom of the organization. Like, a World Series is truly an accomplishment. There is absolutely no doubt about it. It is harder than winning the WBC tournament. We understand that, and we'll never ever, like, I don't think I've ever agreed saying that it's harder to win. The World Series is insane. Like, truly, like, it's incredibly hard to win, but it's really hard to get there. It's really, really hard to even get into that conversation. These guys have a week and a half to like find glory with their brothers from
every 3 years.
Yeah, and it is, if they listen. There's Weiler Abreu. No disrespect to Red Sox fans, he may never have a moment like that in the World Series. I hope he does. He's a great player, but he'll never forget what he did yesterday. What is Venezuela is gonna forever revere what he did yesterday. A quick little story: a few years ago, me and my partner, she and I, we went to oh my God, I forgot the name of the island. We went to an island that was very much pro-Dutch. They had a lot of Netherlands heritage. You wouldn't believe there was a statue of Xander Bogaerts.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I'll send you the picture. I have it on my phone. I forgot to bring that up throughout this whole time. I should have brought that up. But yeah, there was a statue of Xander Bogaerts, and I took a picture of it, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, if you ask an American about Xander Bogaerts, the first thing they'll say, oh, he's an overpaid bum. But he has a statue of him in Aruba. Yes, odd villain. Yes, in Aruba. We went to Aruba, had a nice vacation. 2021. There's a statue of Xander Bogaerts, and they have plaques of him. So could you imagine now Weiler Abreu on an offseason going home to Venezuela? He's going to be loved, revered. He's going to be a hero to those people. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is all about, truly. And you know what? We're hypocrites, Anthony. Not me and you, but us as Americans. Because if we get on the craziest hot streak, we're going to puff our chests out. Are we not?
Yeah. Yeah, we will. Yeah, it's funny, too, because we talked about this in one of the first couple of episodes, probably when we were talking about pool play, that, as much as we love Major League Baseball and as much as these players love to play in Major League Baseball, when you put on your country's jersey, it transforms players. Like, even some of the old, worst players, like Martín Maldonado, Eddie Rosario, turned back the clock.
You called it too.
Right? Like, yeah, they turned back the clock to play 10 times better than what they would be playing in the major leagues. And yeah, maybe the pitching's different, whatever. But the fact that these guys were able for maybe just a month or 2 weeks to feel like they belonged again in baseball for their own country on top of that, just tells you a lot. And there's a lot of players who even say, I think Julio Rodriguez said it himself, that, that this means the world to them. You got players like Bryce Harper. Like, we're talking about promoting this sport, especially from a U.S. standpoint, right? Because U.S. is supposed to be a superpower of in the world, and they should be promoting this. You have Bryce Harper saying that this is not as big as the Olympics. You have Mark DeRozan not knowing the rules. You have the lackadaisical play in that game against Italy, showing that maybe the United States is not really into this as others are. And we know there are a lot of fans that aren't into it. We deal with it all the time on X and hear it all the time on X. But to guys like Julio Rodriguez, this means the world to them. That Dominican team, it means the world to them. That Chinese Taipei team that finished 2-2 and just missed by a run or two to make it means the world to them. Australia, it means the world to them, right? Canada making it to for the first time, it means the world. Like, it means the world to all of these players, and they all play for Major League Baseball. So why not rally around that and continue to grow this thing as much as possible?
I don't want to make this a bash Harper thing. I think Harper. I think since then, I'm pretty sure people have spoken with Harper, and Harper is a very strong-minded man. First of all, like, Mets stuff aside, Harper's a sensational representation of Major League Baseball. He's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a clutch player, big moment player, and we would love to see that. We would love to see the Bryce Harper of October on this stage with the United States across his chest, but Harper doesn't feel that way. And Harper, this is probably still spring training for him, and you know what? I respect it. I don't know what it is to be a major leaguer who knows he has to probably be at the forefront of carrying a team, and there's been a lot of years where Harper hasn't lived up to, the Philly standard. And we hear it from his general manager quite often. And it was
I don't mean to cut you off here. It's just, for me, it's just disappointing. A player of his stature who is
1000%.
Top 10 when it comes to representing the game, right? I just...
He has his prerogatives, right? And that's fine. But don't invite him. Don't bring him. That's where I was going. I think if he believes in the Olympics more than the WBC, I'm not going to kill him. It's fine. Whatever. It's cool. Then play in the Olympics. Save your body. Be a veteran leader in the clubhouse for that team. But we could have gotten Matt Olson. We could have gotten Pete Alonso. We could have brought in Nick Kurtz. We could have brought in there's a gluttony of first basemen in this country that could provide a lot more, and not just like on the field, but just with a better message. Like Bryce Harper is going to go into his season with. There's going to be some Americans who like the WBC. There's going to be some Americans who are like, "Yo, dude, you stunk it up in that tournament, and now you're stinking it up for the Phillies." Like, that is a real situation. If that was, there's people in that fan base. I'm pretty positive in that fan base that are pretty pissed off with him. And listen, at least we could talk about Judge not coming through against Italy, whatever, fine. But like, Judge is actually, like, he's performed a little bit, like he's actually hits the ball, whatever. He's hit a few home runs, yada, yada, yada. Like, you can't kill him. But like a guy like Bryce Harper, who if Bryce Harper was the captain of this team, oof, like it would have really sat really uncomfortable with a lot of people. So, listen, he's a very opinionated man. I'll never know what it is to be in his shoes, but I really did wish that anytime he wears the letters USA on his chest, that he's always like on top of like his game and bringing 100% effort, because there's no guarantee he's going to be on the Olympics next year. So, in 2028. So, like, I don't know. I just felt like they were just misplaced comments, and maybe he regrets it, maybe he doesn't. It is what it is. But like, there's no reason why another first baseman can, like, Paul, with all due respect to Paul Goldschmidt, sensational career, borderline, arguably, maybe Hall of Fame of good, maybe Hall of Fame of great, maybe Hall of Famer, who knows? But he didn't belong on this team, with all due respect. And if Bryce Harper knows that my competition or my backup is Paul Goldschmidt, give me a break. Like, what's the big deal, right? And I just think he went because Judge is his best friend or something. Like, it's just, that's how the message I'm receiving it. And another thing too, and Mark DeRosa, he has failed in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
He really hasn't been able to kind of like rebound from anything. But if there ever is a moment to reverse the table or spin the table or just turn things around, I think today is the day. And I'm just hoping Mark DeRosa has that. I don't think the locker room needs war veterans for a pep talk. I think that locker room needs its leaders to stand up, tell the whole team, we are the United States of America. It's time to play like it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they need more than anything.
Heck, they could have just used Mark DeRosa
Yeah.
apologizing for
Yep.
the public comments and just saying, guys, let's show the world, let's show the United States, and let's show the world what this means to us and to baseball as a whole. And they have that opportunity, like you said, to do that against the Dominican Republic. We'll get to that game in just a second. Mike Lewis in the comments saying the Olympics would be a watered down version of the WBC in his opinion, which
I agree.
There's only going to be 6 teams. We know 3 of them already, right? United States, Dominican Republic, and now Venezuela. And there'll be 3 more. So, and it's during the middle of the season. So I don't know how they're going to do having Major League Baseball players on this, if they're going to do it at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how that gets done. Another comment that kind of leads into this is Blade Starler saying, what do you guys think of an in-season tournament like what the NBA is doing? Seems like MLB's open-minded and shaking it up with new ideas. I love baseball, and it's used to be our number 1 sport we have. Like, are you saying, like, I'm confused if this is to have the in-season tournament be the countries or the in-season tournament being like the major league teams? Because like we've talked about moving the WBC to All-Star Week and replacing All-Star Week with that with the WBC. So if it's that, like, I'm all for that. I don't know if like an in-season tournament with the major league teams is something to do, because there's already enough games as is, unless the owners are like, hey, you know what, this makes sense and it's going to get us more money. But like, I don't know, for in-season tournament for Major League Baseball, to me, I wouldn't do, but WBC I would consider putting in the middle of the season.
I just think in baseball, these guys are so delicate that, like, I just think teams and owners are like, they're hard to get off the idea of just any change, let alone adding more of a competition. I wouldn't be surprised though if they be open-minded to it, because they love ratings, they love generating money, so it's possible.
Yeah. Bladesor also asking, is there ABS in WBC?
No.
There is not. They decided not to do that. Probably
silly.
Yeah.
Silly.
Yeah. Odd Villain in the chat, shout out to him, saying WBC absolutely smokes Olympic baseball. He's also said there's no truly perfect time for a tournament like this, but the more I think about it, the more I like it in the spring. Yeah, you know what? It is starting to grow on me. Even after we had that conversation with Sean Spradling, I starting to feel like this is the right time for it. And I think the injury issue is maybe a little bit overreaction. Like, I know we had the bad injury to Edwin Diaz and Altuve last time, but I think that this is probably the better spot. Also, shout out to Latino Sports for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate that. Salute Felzan and Keith. Great game last night. The energy was electric. I've been to postseason baseball and nothing compares.
Hell yeah. Love that. Love that. What do you think about, what do you think about WBC home run derby? I heard about that. I saw that.
That would be fun.
That would be interesting, right?
Yeah.
One participant from each country. That'd be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. They should capitalize. Let's be honest. Like, the All-Star game has just not been good in years. Like, we're talking about maybe decades now. We haven't had a good All-Star game. And it doesn't seem like players want to take part in it as much anymore either. Also, Latino Sports TV saying MLB schedule makers are upset Japan is not in the tournament and the ratings are down now because of that. I did see the fact that they aligned USA and Japan in hopes of trying to get them back to the finals. What were your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect anything less from Major League Baseball. I truly think that that's exactly the karma they deserved. I was telling a few of my Dominican buddies, mainly my buddy over at NYU, shout out to them, my boy Kevin. I said, you know what, don't complain about it. You know why? Because this is something that you can fuel to, your charge to winning this tournament. What I saw from the Dominican players is that they were letting the Japanese media and letting the Japanese players know, like, we can't wait to play you because we want to shove it down everyone's face because of what the bracketing turned into. And we were here confused about why is the WBC putting out a bracket with TBD on, semifinals, and it was just so silly. And, to do that, it just left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. But, the Japanese did not come to play clearly, and now they are going to be watching, and, it is what it is. That's karma for you, and that's another thing. Baseball is a humbler. Baseball is a humbling sport. If you do not take baseball serious, it will not take you serious back. So that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
You want to talk about seriousness? Armand is amazing putting this in the chat. Per Yaku Cosmopolitan, our guy Yuri Kurosawa, Hirokazu Abada has announced he will resign as Samurai Japan manager. And this is after, for only the first time in history of the WBC, that Japan does not make it to the semifinals. He is resigning.
Yeah, he's probably going to go down as one of their more legendary managers. If I'm not mistaken, they've won this tournament 3 times. So, kudos to him. Last night, probably fitting that was his last managerial, game for the WBC. I think whoever they replace him with, that's a huge position. They have a lot of standards to live up to. We don't know what the future of Japan is going to look like in 3 years. Otani will be 3 years older. They can't just rely only on him. There's a lot of age coming into play with that team too. So they're going to have a little bit of influx of use. And I remember with our buddy, Yuri, he did mention that I believe one of their MVP candidates, the shortstop in the MPB, didn't even get a call because the manager just didn't feel comfortable putting him on the team. And I'm pretty sure he'll be on the team in 3 years. So that really hampered the oomph in that lineup.
Latino Sports TV likes your WBC Home Run Derby. I think that would be a whole lot of fun here. Just to close the book on Dominican Republic and Korea here, Tatis Jr., Ketel Marte, Juan Soto, Vlad Guerrero Jr., your top 4 in the lineup. That is a scary top 4. Like, we're talking about Julio Rodriguez batting 7th. Like, that's nuts to me.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite part about the Dominican lineup is that, like, people thought, got to get to Austin Wells, but he's hitting. He's hitting. So, like, you're screwed. Like, it doesn't even matter at this point. Like, shout out to that. That lineup is so dope. So dope. Yeah. It might be one of the best lineups we've ever seen. Arguably.
We may have to one day do a video of top WBC lineups of all time and see where they all fit in.
Been thinking about it a lot, actually.
Yeah. United States and Canada. That was a little bit closer than it ended up being a 5-3 victory for the United States. Canada making it to their first quarterfinals. Logan Webb, your guy, man. What a game for him. He's 2-0, 1.04 ERA. He's done for the tournament, I think. I think that's it for him.
He took the tournament, Chris.
Yeah, he did. 4 2/3 innings pitched. He had 5 strikeouts, gave up 1 walk. Big time pitching performance for him. Shout out to also, we're talking about Austin Wells and his Yankee lineage right now, but also David Bednar. I think it was like a bases loaded jam that he got out of.
Huge. He's good, man. He's so good. He's going to have a good season. He's a very good reliever, man. Actually, I wish instead of Helsley, we would have got him. Looking back now.
It's been years we talk about getting like a guy like David Bednar, and it just never ended up happening. The Mets didn't want to give up some ropey dope prospect that's not in the major leagues at all. So
ropey dope.
But shout out to Team USA for getting it past there, for putting that bad PR disaster. And I think who put it like that? I think it was Rosie K said it's been a bad PR disaster for the United States. It really was, but they were able to overcome and come through with a 5-3 victory in this game. What were your thoughts here? Because we got a big performance from Canada, from the Naylor brothers. Just at Bo at catcher. Josh Naylor did not have a good game, but he had a good tournament. And what we saw from that game.
Look, they won. So first things foremost, congratulations. I'm rooting for them to perform. I don't know if I'm rooting for them to win, because I kind of want to just see this team at its apex, and I don't think we've seen it. Doing all that, puffing the chest out against the Brazilians and whoever else they played, I think it was Great Britain and stuff, that doesn't really do much for me. I think now, today, is a great opportunity to really, really, really come together as a team. It's going to be tough, though. I know they have Paul Skeens on the mound, but Severino's been pitching very good for the Dominican. So, the United States in that game against Canada, I felt like, again, left a lot of opportunities out there. There was a lot of quick innings, truthfully. The best part of the game, like you mentioned, was David Bednar and then going to Mason Miller. That's been a really good positive for the American team. It just feels like we really do need to see this lineup kind of like get going, because this could be their last game tonight, and a lot of people feel it will be their last game tonight. I think that hopefully Mark DeRosa is well aware of who's hitting, and kind of gives some guys a little bit more like a shot in the lineup. Some guys are hitting, like I know Pete Crow Armstrong, it's been a few games since he hit the 2 home runs, but he was batting ninth. We could move him up, and I'm not the biggest PCA guy. I want to see Bryce Terang in there. I mean, Gunner's been pretty decent. Cal Riley's been a no-show. So in a must-win game, I'm putting Will Smith in that game tonight. I'd rather have Will Smith catching than Cal Riley. Cal Riley has brought more negative stuff to this, team PR-wise. We all know what's going on with that. Than production on the field. And, it's not a good look for him right now. I think Will Smith is a big game catcher. I'd use him tonight. We definitely need something from Bryce Harper. I think this entire situation with the United States, we could talk about Judge, we could talk about the pitching and DeRosa and everything, but all eyes tonight will be on Bryce Harper. If he lays another egg, it's going to be a PR nightmare, not for the United States, but for him too. Bryce Harper needs to show up today.
Yeah, they're getting their best performance out of the bottom of that lineup. Bryce Terang, Pete Crow Armstrong are really the strong point of hitting here. And I like the fact that you want Will Smith in the lineup, a guy who's got World Series experience, who's had big hits in the postseason. I think I agree with you there that maybe should be him in the lineup, outside of taking Cal Riley out because of, stupid stuff that he's done. I mean, that's another thing too, that I don't know how serious that is or what the deal is, but it wasn't a good look. It is what it is. But I agree with you. I think Will Smith would probably be
real quick on that though. It's like, maybe I'm wrong, but me and you, we look like hypocrites, right? Criticizing him for taking the tournament serious, because that's what we want these guys to do. But he's taking it so serious. It's almost like the brother thinks he's at war. It's
like baseball.
It's not the United States versus the Axis powers, Cal. We're okay. Germany's not trying to invade. It's okay, Cal. You can shake somebody's hand. It's okay.
Yeah. Jeff Cohen in the chat saying, does it make sense to send major league players to the Olympics? Would the schedule be reduced to 2 weeks? Would teams be willing to send their pitchers? Honestly, Jeff, I have absolutely no idea how they are going to do this. I'm going to say that I doubt that major league players are going to be a part of this.
I would send prospects.
Prospects, right? Yeah. Minor league prospects. Yeah, I don't think anyone. That's why people love the WBC being in March, because at least it's in spring training and it doesn't interfere with any outside of spring training games. And if someone gets hurt, there's still time to come back for the regular season. That's why people like it being where it is. I would assume if it fell in between maybe All-Star break, that would be a different story. But
what month is it going on in? Do we know?
I don't know. Let me see.
Because if it's April, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Maybe. I think it's gonna be a summer thing though, right?
July 14th to July 28th.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Not in July.
And that's All-Star break.
That probably, right? Anthony, that and the trade deadline. Not happening, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, no. It's
not happening. No way.
Not gonna happen. Let's see what else we got here. Lane Kerner saying, who plays today for the WBC teams? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because we are getting into the WBC Semifinals Preview here.
Yes.
We've got 2 teams left tonight. Tonight's kind of like a final in itself, right? The United States up against the Dominican Republic, what are supposed to be 2 powerhouses offensively. We've seen, Dominican Republic as the #1 offense in this tournament so far, with USA having the potential to be one of those top teams as well. It's going to be who's pitching, holds on the most. And I remember you saying earlier on in the show about hyping this up in advance, right? Hyping the WBC up maybe a year or 2 in advance by getting these players involved. The one to really do that for Team USA was Paul Skeens. Did that about a year ago in starting to hype up the WBC. He's pitching tonight and that's going to be a big test for him against one of the best lineups in the WBC. Going for the Dominican Republic, our good friend Luis Severino will be on the mound. What are your thoughts on this pitching matchup here? Can Luis Severino turn back the clock like he did at Citi Field for the Mets?
Severino has actually looked really good in this tournament. He's clipping 99. His sweeper's been incredible. So he's really, really looked formidable. So if you haven't been watching, unfortunately, that's just unfortunate for those. But he's been incredible. I have a soft spot for Sevi. You know, he was really good for us, so I always root for him. So I think he could pitch very well tonight. I don't see any doubts in that. Paul Skeens, though. I have a message for Paul Skeens. Personally, I just think Paul Skeens, I have no doubt in my mind he'll perform. I just don't know if the rest of the guys with him will perform because it's going to be like hell to get 3 outs in any inning. So
he just went through the top of the lineup.
Yeah, it's going to be like hell. So I'm pretty sure Paul Skeens is going to give it a go. It would not shock me in the slightest, Anthony, and I'm calling it now. Everyone's hyping up this matchup. I would not shock me in the slightest if he gets pulled early. And I'm not saying he's going to get hit. I just think when we talk about let's just go back to like Mets talk. Let's go back to Major League Baseball talk real quick. I think when we talk about pitchers who are really good, right? They perform in high leverage innings, high leverage positions, right? There's going to be high leverage innings from the start of this game. And I think there's a lot of stress put onto him. And I think we have to really think about this real quick, right? As if I'm Mark DeRosa, and I know he's cruising, I'm making it very clear, guys. If he's cruising, fine. But if he's laboring a little bit, and this is a laboring lineup, this is no joke. This lineup is legitimately no joke. We have to be very honest about it. I don't think I would let him even sniff 70 pitches. I really wouldn't. Because it's dangerous. It really is.
You know, it is, especially with it being high leverage pitches. DeRosa has to have like scenarios played out. Like if he's thrown 20 or more pitches in the first inning, my thought is, yeah, we're probably going to have to yank him after 2 or 3. Like I don't want to have him go that farther in the lineup. Maybe he just goes around once in the lineup and that's it, and then they move on. But Paul Skeens needs to be taken care of, not only for this tournament, but just for the Pirates and stuff like that. It's great to have him here. It's great that he wants to play for Team USA. If he's mowing down the lineup, like you said, you know, by all means, keep him in.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to worry about some of these pitchers. I mean, you should worry about all these pitchers, but especially Paul Skeens, who's, you know, one of the faces of Major League Baseball right now.
I see someone in the chat. It's like, what happens after Skeens? And I think Mark DeRosa's managerial career for Team USA depends on the move he makes post Paul Skeens. I'm pretty sure everybody wants him gone. Fine, they could win this game, and he might still be in a job. But I think it comes down to who's the guy after Paul Skeens. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, someone could correct me. I believe the first guy he went to when Paul Skeens pitched in the last game was Matthew Boyd, I believe. And I don't know if Matthew Boyd stood with the team, but I think if you put Matthew Boyd in this game tonight against the Dominican, he's going to get killed. He's going to get annihilated. I truly feel that way. I don't want Matthew Boyd at all. I'm going to be honest with you, Anthony. The minute I take out Paul Skeens, I'm bringing in Mason Miller. I have to. I just you have to keep up the highest intensity. It's do or die. I bring in Mason Miller. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Did they get Joe Ryan?
No. He did not join. Nope. He did not.
Clay Holmes went back.
We got Will Vest. We got Tim Hill, and we got Rogers, who from the Blue Jays. So we got guys. Rogers is another tricky one. I would love to see maybe you can kind of sprinkle him in maybe in a situation because he has the funky delivery. And maybe the Dominicans haven't seen that, but I wouldn't leave him in too long because he's not a hard thrower at all. So, you know, I don't know, man. It's a tough – I don't envy Mark DeRosa. I really don't.
No. I honestly think he's done anyway after this, no matter what happens. Outside of them winning, I think that they have to move on from DeRosa and get a legitimate manager in the clubhouse for Team USA. Shout out to Tony HVAC in the chat. Well, for one, talking about Francisco Lindor being
Hell
in the lineup for the Mets.
Hell
Great to
yeah.
see that. See him back already with
Hell yeah.
what do we have?
Love it.
There's a
He's a
week left.
psychopath. He's such a
Yeah.
psychopath. I love it. He's such a
Yeah,
psychopath. I
just
love
a
him.
week left to opening day, and he's back. I mean, just we pray, we knock on wood, all that stuff, that he stays healthy and his hand is okay. But Tony HVAC also saying, talking about Skeens, I mean, the kid is great, but this is not your average lineup where you can work around 1 to 2 or 3 guys. This is cleanup hitters from 1 to 13, and it's going to be taxing on him. So I don't even see 50
I couldn't
pitches.
agree more. I couldn't agree. Couldn't agree more. 100%.
Armand saying Joe Ryan is not pitching because of his back injury. So makes sense. Perfect sense to not have Joe Ryan. Remember the Mets? Remember, I got to check back in my podcast to see if I was a part of bringing in a Joe Ryan or a Pablo Lopez, and both of those guys are injured.
Me. I'm guilty. Guilty right here. Bring me the injured pitchers. Why not, right?
It's so Mets, right? Like
we're just used to it.
We're just
Why
so
not?
used to it. So yeah, Dominican Republic, Team USA. That's going to be the marquee matchup tonight, and kind of like a final. But then tomorrow is going to be very fun. Venezuela, Italy. Venezuela has Keter Montero going. We don't know who Italy has going. They kind of have kept that to the best, even against the game, even against Puerto Rico. We didn't really know who the pitcher was until morning, afternoon of that game.
It's not gonna be Nola. I'm pretty sure Nola's gonna do the championship game. So who pitched before Nola? Wasn't it a major leaguer? It was a major leaguer, I think. They had a major.
Aldigiri pitched already. So
they had a major league guy. I know this for sure. They had a major league guy start.
Let's look at their pitching. Who did they have pitch? Greg Weissert pitched yesterday. He's their closer.
He's been amazing.
Lorenzen.
Michael Lorenzen. Yeah, the greatest pitcher known to man. You're right, correct. The American killer.
But I can't see him playing. I don't think there's been enough rest. He pitched almost 5 innings.
Yeah, I don't know.
Actually, I really don't. I feel like they went to everyone yesterday.
Yeah, their bullpen has been awesome, and Italy's bullpen has been incredible. Even against like the United States and against Mexico and against Puerto Rico, they have been amazing. Like that, the Greg Weissert, like he's been getting huge outs, man. Right now, he's probably been the best reliever, arguably, in the whole tournament. Greg Weissert, argue it.
Yeah, he closed out the game, pitched 2 innings against Puerto Rico. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. Man, their defense was just positioned perfectly. Kudos to Francisco Cervelli.
Yes.
For helping out that team and getting them defensively ready to be everywhere they need to be. Like there was like no hole we could get a hit through. Nothing got through that Italian team. And they are primed and ready for what possibly could be a finals run here. But Venezuela's a team that offensively could be in their way here. And what are your thoughts on this matchup? This is going to be a fun one, I think.
I think this game is more fun than tonight's game. I truly do.
Tonight feels very serious.
Yeah,
this feels like a good time.
Yeah, tonight is gonna be like. I should like try to like get this like trademark. I think tonight's gonna be a real uncomfortable conversation. I really do. I think so. I have to say, I think the Dominican are gonna put bow to the Americans, and rightfully so. But I think the Italians and the Venezuelans, I have the Venezuelans winning, but I can't. Every time I pick against the Italians, my sleeper, they win. So I think it's going to be a more entertaining game. I actually think there might be dramatics in that game. I kind of don't know who to pick. The more I think about it, I have Venezuela. I think they're a more complete team. But, both teams are real resilient. And, there's another day of rest for the Italians. So I just... Man, I don't know, man. I just, they didn't get to no espressos yesterday. They didn't have no espresso shots and they won.
No.
So I don't know, man. The Venezuelan team is formidable. I mean, I would love Venezuela DR in the final round 2. That'd be great. But again, man, that Italian team is fun. I really don't want to pick against them, but sleeper team wins this whole thing. Then I'm just gonna be Italian for the next 3 years. Why not? Right? Like I just let everybody know. So, but I'm really, really, really happy. I'm really, really happy that that's the matchup we got. I think it's more entertaining. I think if it would have been Japan and Venezuela, Japan and Italy, everybody would have been Team Italy, and everybody was just like, get Japan out, whatever. So now I think we have a more fun matchup with the Italians facing the Venezuelans. So super, super excited. I actually, truthfully, don't care who wins. I just want a really good game. And then we're almost done with the tournament, Anthony.
Yeah, man. I don't want it to end, man. It's been so fun. Yeah, I think that, and I said this during the last episode when I had Brian Fonseca on with me, that this was the true matchup here for Italy when it comes to playing Puerto Rico. Like I know Puerto Rico's offense was bad, but their pitching was top out of that pool. Yes, it was against some of the lesser teams, but they still pitched very well. And then Italy basically exposed them with the walks and hitting doubles, and they hit doubles and they hit home runs and they get extra bases. That's an offense that is killer.
You made a great point. We know that the Puerto Rican pitching was really good, but I didn't see a lot of bad at-bats from the Italians. Yeah. I saw a lot of walks in crucial situations to load the bases. Very patient. They loaded the bases multiple times. The Italians are having great at-bats right now, man. I just think right now they're a little bit more poised. I think they're really, really, really. It's funny that everyone makes jokes about the espresso, but they're really, really chill. And you know what? You just got to tip your hat to that, man. I tweeted this out. Francisco Cervelli, Yadier Molina, and Albert Pujols, to me, have been the real stars of this tournament, hands down. I think the way they've handled crisis, how they've handled personalities, and how they've handled expectations or lack thereof. Who wouldn't want that on the Major League roster? I think Cervelli, Pujols, and Molina have been awesome.
You talked about Yadier Molina possibly getting a Major League job. I think it'll happen. There's something about catchers becoming managers that just makes sense here. Mm-hmm. And that maybe, one day, if Molina's gone, outside of I guess Carlos Beltran or like a Delgado managing the team, Jorge Posada, who's right now on Team Italy. I mean, people are like, why has he betrayed Puerto Rico? It's like, him and Francisco Cervelli, were teammates. Yeah. Like that, he asked him to come aboard and help out Team Puerto Rico. Like, you don't have to be Italian to be a coach on the team. Like, Dusty Baker's not Nicaraguan, right?
Yeah. Smart move though by Cervelli. I mean, a lot of Yankee fans, in passing have mentioned, I would love Posada, yada yada. I mean, now you get to see Posada and Cervelli together. It's awesome. It's really awesome to see. And kudos to Posada. I'm rooting for him. I'm happy for him. I hope he continues to do well with Team Italy, and maybe he's our next coach. Maybe he jumps over to us if Molina gets a job. Who knows, whatever. But I'm happy for him. I just like to see some of the best players that we've watched growing up still have a spot in Major League Baseball. It means a lot. It does carry a lot of heritage, But it's really good, and kudos to Cervelli to read the room. He's the manager, and obviously Posada was a greater player than him. But he's like, he knows I need him, and I like seeing that.
And Francisco Cervelli, isn't he also Venezuelan?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's split. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the talking point yesterday. I saw
it was because he was not able to be a part of the team because they were already logjam at catcher at the time. So he played for Italy in the previous iterations of the WBC, and now has become their manager and has done such a great job for them.
And I hate to make this about the Mets, but everything usually we have to make it about the Mets. I mean, Piazza leaves, and guess what happens? Team Italy is almost in the finals. We have,
There you go. They got some good players, and Advilan saying his parents are Italian, born Venezuelan, and he speaks fluent Italian. So there you go. Armand is amazing saying, will Cervelli get a manager job in MLB because of this run by Italy? I think yes. I think, like you said, him, Yadi, as well as Pujols. We know who won't probably be getting a Major League job, and that's Mark DeRosa, who's probably been the most promoted to get a Major League Baseball managing job. Definitely doesn't deserve it at this point.
I think Mark DeRosa has done an incredible job securing a spot at John Boy Media. God bless.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
Probably.
He'll probably be with them and be one of the, secret investors or something like that at some point with that company. Shout out to I Hit That Podcast. What's up? Hopefully you're enjoying the podcast. Appreciate it. Make sure you're following me on Subway to Shea. Make sure you're following Keith on Shea and Sons. We will be getting back to regularly scheduled Mets programming. Don't worry, that will happen. But it's been a lot of fun doing the WBC. I know you didn't want to give predictions, but we have no choice. We have to do it. We have to give predictions for this weekend's games. Me personally, it's DR Venezuela Part 2 in the finals. We got a fantastic game the first time they played in pool play. I think we get them back in the finals. I wouldn't be shocked if Italy finds a way, but I think Venezuela is going to be their kryptonite in this one.
I think the Dominican handled the Americans comfortably. Yeah. I don't even think it might be close for a few innings, but I don't think it's going to be close after that. As my buddy Denhausen would say about the Americans, you are cursed. So big up to the Dominican. And if I keep this trend going, what kind of Italian fan would I be? I have the Dominican versus the Venezuelan. So that means the Italians are making it, right? Essentially that just clinches the Italians winning. But I think the Venezuelan team, they want to play the Dominicans really, really bad. They want to get revenge on the first game. It was probably one of the more entertaining games seeing those teams go at it. So DR versus Venezuela in the final. And I think at that point, you could argue both teams have a chance. I think slight edge to DR, but I think Venezuela, the way they've been playing, they're on fire. I wouldn't be shocked if Venezuela is the biggest surprise of everything and winning this whole thing.
Yeah, Venezuela is going to want payback for that game in pool play. Dominican Republic is just looking to bounce back and get that nastiness of 2023 off of them after not making it into the second round of the tournament. You got USA trying to get rid of the filth of the PR disasters coming out from them, and then you got Italy playing with house money. So a lot of good storylines coming into this. But I think it's DR Venezuela in the finals. I wouldn't mind Italy being in there as well. That'd be a fun story just because you killed it on picking them as your sleeper. And I think you deserve that dub.
It would be really cool to see a team that I didn't pick them to go to the finals, but if a team to win this tournament, right? And to put this tournament in a whole different atmosphere, a team like Italy to win this tournament would absolutely go insane on a global stage. We all expect a Caribbean team to win it, but if a team like Italy shocks the world and does the unthinkable, I think the WBC will be looked at in a totally different light. If they take down powerhouses, look at the run if they win this tournament, the run they've gone on. They beat the Puerto Ricans, they beat the Americans, they beat the Mexicans. They would have to beat the Venezuelans, and then they would have to beat the Dominican. That's the greatest run ever, without a doubt. The greatest run ever. You can't argue it. I don't think it's gonna happen. Weirder shit has happened, but it would be something that just for the country of Italy, it'd be awesome. Really would.
And it would help build baseball in Italy like it's done for Australia and done for other countries that are trying to make this game a global game that we've been talking about. And that's kind of where we'll end it here. That WBC has really changed everything for the sport of baseball, and hopefully it continues to grow. LB0711 saying, can we do a Venezuelan managerial swap? Cervelli for Mendoza. Would take Cervelli over Mendoza in a heartbeat. Cervelli showed me more in 4 games than Mendoza has in 4 years. Wow.
Can we bring Posada too though? Right now, just in case. Let's bring Posada too.
Yeah, we'll do that. Armand is amazing always with the good research here, saying per his Wikipedia, Francisco Cervelli was born in Valencia, Venezuela, to an Italian immigrant father, Emanuele Cervelli, and a Venezuelan mother,
Yeah, they had mentioned it on the broadcast last night. They were saying it'd be interesting, to see the Cervelli versus the Venezuelans. Good for him, man. It's a pretty fun moment for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be back for the finals. Are we doing a live stream for the finals?
We gotta end it with a bang. With us sitting here for 7 hours, trying to see Puerto
We've
Rico
learned
get
our
a
lesson
hit.
from that one. We've learned our lesson from that one. No double headers. No double
Wait,
headers.
it's safe to say that this game will be a lot more entertaining than a few of the games we
I think
streamed.
so.
So we'll
Yeah,
have a lot of
absolutely.
fun.
No, absolutely.
But that, you know what? Honestly, bro, we've been buddies for a while. Doing this with you has been awesome. And I'm not just saying that because we're here. I appreciate you. We're obviously going to do tons of Met content this year. We're well aware of that. But taking a break from the Mets has been really fun. I haven't really watched a spring training game. I'm going to watch one today because Lindor is back. But I haven't watched spring. It actually, there's so many years where I hate spring training because I feel like it goes on too long.
Yeah.
I haven't even blinked at spring training because this tournament and what I've done with you has been really, really fun. Co-hosting, my brother, and I appreciate all the work we've done together, and I'm really, really happy that we did this. Hopefully we brought more light to the tournament, and definitely in 3 years maybe we're at the tournament together. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe we're at the tournament. Maybe because that's one of my goals is to get at the. I think I tweet. I was like, man, we got to get there. We got at some point, whether Houston, Miami, heck, maybe even Puerto Rico or something. At some point, we got to get out there to the tournament. Maybe we'll bring something back when we get to what is the qualifying rounds. Maybe we'll dive into that as well. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a channel at some point for WBC or something like that. Maybe we'll work something out on that. But let everyone know your socials, where they find you and all that stuff, what you got coming up.
Yeah, man. So definitely check me out at Shea & Sons on YouTube. I will be going back to the Mets once this tournament is done. I'm going to do a little bit of a spring training recap this Wednesday. Just going over what we've seen in the past week. I'll do, put that together for everybody. I'm also affiliated with the folks at ESB Podcast who cover all things in the tri-state area with baseball, Mets, and Yankees. And I'm on X. I'm kicking it with Keith. You can find me at that handle. I'll be tweeting about the games. We'll definitely be locked into tonight. I think tonight's game is, like you said, a very tense atmosphere. So I'm going to be looking for little details and nuances. And when the season starts, I'll be live streaming Met games. If you are interested in watching play-by-play from a different spin of things, maybe when Gary, Keith, or Ron are not together, to come over to my channel where I could talk to you about, maybe if a pitcher is struggling or maybe if a batter is on a roll. Check me out with the Met stuff. And I wouldn't be here without a lot of my, my buddies and my compatriots. Shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you. We've been doing this now for a while, and it's been really fun making relationships. Really has. Shout out to all of the other creators that also cover the Mets. It's always been such a really good atmosphere being in that group where we just constantly say, hey, go check this guy out, go check this guy out. Because, it's really good content. I know there's tons of Met podcasts. We know that. But there's a good selective group that if you want to just stay in that little circuit, check those other guys out, Tony, the Mets Weekly, guys like that. It's been really fun doing work together with Mets.
John.
So Messo's part. I was on their podcast this past week, filling in. Great podcast where you could just recap what's going on. So appreciate all that. Then don't forget Shea & Sons and on X, Kicking It with Keith.
You can follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Subway to Shea. You can follow me personally at Ant Rivera 86. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But if you want to be a part of the chat and the conversation, you're doing that right here on YouTube. This is where all the fun is. Thanks to everyone that came out in the chat. It was a lively chat today. We had over 133 people in the room. A lot of fun. Please come back for the finals. We'll be doing a live stream of whichever teams make it to the finals, which is hopefully a DR Venezuela Part 2 type final, or even Italy. I wouldn't mind being a part of the final. So let's reconvene at that and come in, join the chat. We'll have a little bit of fun. But for Anthony Rivera, for Keith Diaz, this has been WBC TV. Have a good one, everyone.